All right, so we're about at the stage here where we want to start considering putting together our room furnishings. Now, one of the reasons that interiors are often much more difficult to work on than exterior scenes, right? A city scene is really just a series of cubes. An interior may not be so simple. There's lots of different shapes that are going on and lots of things that conform to a number of different styles. So you're probably going to need a lot more in terms of reference for each individual item in the room. I mean, everything can be made in a particular way, and everything will probably need to be drawn and then arranged in a specific way that is interesting. And then, of course, you have the issue of actually getting everything drawn and lit so that it looks natural. So there's a lot to this, doing an interior. But if you work on things isometrically, you at least have a little bit of an option for moving things around and trying different ideas out in different places. Right. So the first thing actually that I would like to do, we're going to start putting the furnishings together for our room. And we've gone ahead and we've made some tools in the last video. So some of the things that we're going to do, we're going to start working with like this chair. And you can again kind of see how this particular tool was put together, get a general sense of maybe what was done to construct it. So on another layer, what we're going to do is we're just going to add a couple of different elements here, right? Actually, since I have one circle and everything is equal, I can just take this circle here, put it there, put it there, and put it there. And so what I'm going to do is, if I wanted to draw this chair, I'm just going to draw within the constraints that I have. Right? And if I have my arms here, I'm going to start drawing them in like this. Right, it's helpful to have a sense of how furniture is constructed. So if you are not familiar, you may want to make sure that you're not drawing blind before you start putting buttons in or that sort of thing. Right, the goal is to just get this to be pretty close. And let's take a look at what we've got here. Let's make sure that we get some of these edges. You can decide how you want the back of your arms to look here. Perhaps you'll draw something that's quite different for your chairs. But the idea is basically this, to just get these general, to get the general shapes in place, and then build your chair from those general shapes. And then you can move your chair around the isometric grid and place it wherever you please. Okay. What about like my window here? So if I grab my window, you can see that I've actually just made it conform to one of these rectangles. But I can do more than that with these rectangles, right? I can turn these into like a bookcase. So if I want to do that, we sort of talked a little bit about this last time. Alright, so there's the outer side of the case. You can also make the inside. All I've done is just made this a little bit smaller. If you're not comfortable, you could actually use this without messing around with that at all, actually, I think. And let's grab that layer and then just do something like this. Try to be precise. There we go. Now we also know from this where our bookshelves are going to be. So we could do something like that. Remember, there's an inside to this. So whatever you've got going on your layer over here, let's grab our lasso tool. You can just take that, move it over there, and then if we want to make this a shelf, we'll just copy this and pull it up. Control E. We won't need this part of the shelving. And we will not need to see the bottom portion of the shelving here either. Right, so there's a shelf. Great news, if you've got one shelf, you've got actually all the shelves. Just need to copy it and paste it in place. If you know where all of your shelves are going to be at, you also know where to find the back of this guy here too, right? And you can just erase the part that you don't need. Now, one of the things that is important when you're doing this is to make sure that everything is in the right order. So you don't necessarily want to like collapse your bookshelf into a single layer. You're going to want to keep all of these shelves layered individually. And one of the reasons that you want to do that is because each shelf in this particular case is going to have books on it, right? So if you're going to make books, one thing that you could do, right, is just kind of follow this pattern, and you could, raise this up. Some of the books, though, are going to be going behind the shelf, right? So when you take the these, you can pull these out. These you want to collapse. Control E to collapse these. And you've got a section of books here. So what you're going to do, if you're going to do books, for example, you're going to create all the spines here for the books, and then you're going to follow your grid pattern to the back. And you're going to try and stay parallel to the grid. perfect, but pretty close would be good. Okay. Now you've got some books. Now the books, again, you're not necessarily going to see all of the books on a particular shelf, or all of the books that you would draw. If you pull them back a little bit from the edge, you're going to have some parts here that you're going to probably not have to do anything with. But you are going to need to make sure that these books, as you draw them and color them in, do fills on them, you're going to need to make sure that they are between different layers of shelving. Because when you add in your fills, the fills will actually work to cover up the books. So instead of actually erasing different parts of these books, you're just going to use sort of the same thing, and you're just going to repeat it a number of different times. Maybe though you want to vary the books a little bit. You can definitely do that. So let's go ahead and just change the opacity on this. And let's do a new set of books. Okay. Let's say I want to have a book that is sort of tipped over in my bookcase. How do I do that? Well, all I would do is I would draw the angle of that tipped book, and then I would take this back, and then I would draw the next book in the sequence, just like that. What if you have a book that is lower than another book? Okay, this middle one here is going to be a bit shorter, so we'll run that line parallel, and then we will take this spine to the back, we'll take this spine to the back, pull this one down, and then we will erase parts of the line work that we don't need. This book here needs a base, so we got to take that back. Okay, so not too tough. Again, you could probably color your books any number of different ways to sort of make it look like you have different sections of books on your shelf if you were going to do a library like this. Okay, so those are some ways that you're going to maybe put different things on shelves. Again, just make sure that you are putting them between the shelves. So if I have this shelf here, one thing I might do to keep track of it is flag it as green. To flag it, you just right click on the eye here and you can give it a color. Okay, here's this guy. I'm just going to pull it right above. I'm going to match it with green, right? So if I turn those off, you can sort of see how that's going to be. The shelf above this is going to be opaque, right? So it's going to hide those books. But if I create this as sort of a big Lego piece, the books as a Lego piece, I can sort of move them from shelf to shelf without having to do any adjustments. And then the opacity of the shelf above it would cover up what we're seeing below. You'll see a little bit later once we start doing line and fill. Okay, one other thing that I might want to do is, what if I have an object that doesn't conform to this grid? Maybe I don't want something that's going to conform to like this square here. How do I make something that is angled, say 45 degrees? Well, that's pretty easy too. You just turn what you have like this. So say I wanted to make a pair of slippers for the room, right? I might do something like this, and then I would draw my slippers. that form, right? So you can see kind of how that might work. Okay. Other things like plants, you're going to take something like this. You might size it down a little bit. And then on another layer, here's your planter. And if you were going to make a plant, right, you could just sort of freeform that. That's not a big deal. Again, helpful to have a plant in mind before you make anything. But this will give you maybe just a general idea of how to go about making your furnishings. Again, the more geometric your furnishings are, the easier this process is going to go. So with that out of the way, the next part that we're going to look at is adding in our line work and getting that all ready to go. So we'll stop here for now, and we'll move on to the general look of our line work next.